The Joe Rogan Experience.
When I was working on the Iron Man project,
what is the Iron Man project?
It was the Iron Man project.
What does that mean?
So we're trying to build the suit.
Really?
We've been working on it for a long time.
I didn't know about
I was
this.
on the beginning of the project. It was called Carnivore at first and a few other names. But in the beginning, it was only a small handful of us working on it.
What are they using to make the body suit out of?
It's changed so much right now that it's all kinds of materials. I mean, titanium, carbon fiber, all the top stuff.
And is it supposed to be able to fly?
It's going to do a lot of stuff.
Does it have an exoskeleton, so it's stronger?
Yeah, it's exo, yeah.
And
it's much stronger. You can carry, 1,000 pounds. You can do a lot.
I've
all the
seen
guns,
that
all the ammo.
stuff. That stuff's wild.
So we're getting there, but if you think about that kind of a suit, that exoskeleton, how are you going to move that exoskeleton, those people? So if you had a squad, let's just say you had 12 dudes in those exoskeletons, what airplane are you going to use? What Humvees, what vehicles, how are you going to get these guys around, what boats?
Right,
like
how heavy are those things?
It changes everything.
Right.
They're 1,000 pounds, yeah.
Jesus
they're huge.
Christ. So you can only get like a couple of those on a plane.
Yeah, maybe 4. I don't know.
Ooh.
But that's one of the issues that we're running into is the fact that if we start going in this direction, we start going to exoskeletons, we have to change everything else.
That makes sense.
And when we were doing it, it was like the long pole in the tent for the, and I was on these think tanks, and I was always like the innovator SEAL. I was a weird SEAL. You already know that, I guess.
Well, I guess. But we'll get to that part.
I was a techie part. So I was very technical, and I was working a lot of the national laboratories.
Mm-hmm.
So all the places that we built, the Manhattan Project, we still have all those facilities all around. And so we still use them, and we work with them, and we try to push the envelope for military and civilian use. So there's a lot of things that I was part, innovator, inventor of stuff that's gone to the civilian world. And the Iron Man project was a really cool one.
And what are they powering it with?
That's the problem, was the long pole in the tent. I kept talking to them, and I was working with all the national labs, Pacific Northwest and all those guys. And nuclear battery was pretty much the only way you can go. So it'd be a little battery about that big.
Bro,
so
I don't
we've
even
already
like
had
having a
those.
cell phone in my pocket.
But we've had those little nuclear batteries since the 50s, so it's no big deal.
But those nuclear batteries, like, how dangerous is it for a human being to be around it?
How dangerous it is to be in the military.
That's true, too.
We jump out of airplanes at 30,000 feet.
But I would feel like if you wore that thing around, you got horrible bone cancer because of it.
Yeah, you get lead shielding and a bunch of other shielding and stuff.
Yeah? Is that
but
what
the
they
thing
would
is,
do?
there's so much power and there's so much everything else. We were using the hypersonic flywheels and using all this other stuff. We were trying to do energy storage in all kinds of different ways.
Is there a way
recapture.
to shield it so that a person can be
yeah,
in direct contact and not receive?
Yeah. You carry it around in a suitcase.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Isn't it funny? Like, that's one of the things that we're scared of the most.
I have to be careful with some of the stuff I say. I'm constantly going.
Are you saying
that's
stuff
good,
that you're
that's
not? You could
No,
edit it out if you're saying stuff that's classified.
The Iron Man is not classified anymore. They've talked about it. I think it's in Popular Mechanics now. So, but I think some of the people that worked on it are still classified, and some of the stuff they're doing now is probably classified.
So
this is old data.
Is that a situation where, as new technology comes out, then they revise it?
Yeah,
until
constantly.
So they're always working on it, but it's not
always
ready.
working on it.
Right.
So it's usable. Some of the pieces, like right now, I mean, my back is just toast. Like all the SEAL team guys, because we carry those large rucksacks and constantly out there free falling, jumping parachute and all that stuff. Our backs are just toast. So what they're trying to do is trying to get it just first as like load carrying. And so they made it and that was one of my biggest pushes in the beginning of Iron Man, was I said we need to build everything as non-energy consumption. Everything has to be pneumatic or springs or somehow using our body to propel everything. Because if this whole thing shuts down, the battery turns off, you have to still be able to move a little bit at least, to be able to get over from here to cover over there. So you don't get... You still have to be able to move it. So it's 1,000 pounds. How do you move that thing if there's no power?
How would you? Is that possible?
That was, like, where the direction they went in was the direction I didn't want to go, was you can't now.
You can't.
You're going to be stuck.
Once
so
the power goes off, you're frozen there.
You're just,
oh, my God.
It's big.
Imagine if you were in the middle of some sort of an operation and there was a solar flare.
Yeah.
And the solar flare nukes all the electricity.
Or EMP or something. Yeah. You're screwed.
Yeah. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
That's where we're going.
1,000 pounds, though. I mean, how the fuck could you move it? How could you if you're stuck in a 1,000-pound robot?
You're done.
That's what it looks like right now?
Yeah, so these things are still tethered, a lot of those.
Okay, so that is the
This one-
exoskeleton goes down his legs, and that's those things on his legs.
Yeah, but that's even a way newer. That's CGI. I don't know if that's a real one.
And so,
But it's pretty much like that. And it attaches here around your waist, and it kind of works off your hips. And then,
so this is one right here, and so you see he's got this.
so he's got it
goes
on
down
his
the
legs right
sides.
there.
Yeah.
So that's a regular one with no power. So that's an unpowered one.
And
so
how does that
inside of
one?
these little things on his legs
Uh-huh.
and up around his waist, it might be slightly powered, but those things on his legs and he'll have up there will be like a piston,
Really?
and then that will be as you're moving your leg. It all works off your own kinetics, you know. It's all off of
And it
body
helps you
kinetics.
move.
Yeah, and it can carry large weights, so you can go faster. You can carry a lot more weight.
Why don't I have one of those in
'Cause-
my life? I need to
I mean,
buy one of those. I wanna
paralyzed people, they've
run up
got-
hills. They
they-
work with paralyzed people.
Yeah, they
How-
have people
how
that
does
were
it-
paralyzed, and they can attach all this stuff to them, and they can walk
Wow.
around and do it.
Look
So
at
this one
this
is
one.
powered. And see the way he's got a thing on his heels like that?
Yeah.
That was a big thing because when you step, your feet pivot somewhat. And so you have to watch these things and where you put it and how it goes. There's so much to this thing. You would not believe it.
It's wild.
There's a
looking.
lot of technology in that right there alone.
And so ultimately, they want it where it covers your body like an Iron Man,
It'll
or
be a
is that
lot
just
more. That's the ultimate would be when you start putting armor and everything on it. So
Look
you
at
can
that.
see that
Is
guy
that
right
image?
there.
What is
That's
that?
a little bit more.
Yo?
That's more like it. And so that's all lightweight stuff.
RoboCop
It's-
shit.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And so that's the direction we're going in. But you can see even
Whoa.
that guy right there, he's going to have a hard time getting in and out of vehicles and doing a lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
as you keep
for
adding this
sure.
stuff on there,
Right.
we get bigger and bigger. Look how big that guy is. He'd have a real tough time getting inside of any vehicles.
Yeah, he definitely is not driving anywhere.
So that's what the pros and cons. It's like, yeah, we have all this, we have that, but now we have to redo the vehicles. We got to do this. There's a lot to it.
How and
Oh, that might be. If you look up carnivore,
And
it
how
might show
far
up the
do you-
first one.
how far do you think they are from developing autonomous robots that replace people anyway in
We
these
already have 'em.
situations? Think so with weapons?
Because the stuff I was working on 10 and 15, 20 years ago, and how fast we're advancing back then. So I would walk into a place and it'd be a chip manufacturer for us to do our sneaky peeky bugs and stuff. And I would show them, I'd say, hey, this is what we're working with right now. And then we would give them $3 million, make it half that size. And that's all we would do, to say, here's $3 million, half the size.
Really?
And then within 6 months, I'd give it to us, here, half the size. And so when we were doing it, and for my budget, I think I had like $60 million. So, and it's huge budgets when you get to the top levels of the SEALs. And we really push it, and we're constantly pushing these envelopes of technology. And so you can kind of see, like, even when I was there, I know the sizes. And I know, like, you can have a chip, and you have a chip inside of a chip, and a chip, and a chip, and a chip. So you can go all these layers, and all this stuff, you start digging. And then every time you have the chip, there's a lot of subroutines, sub-programs, and everything else you can put into them. It's just mind-blowing how advanced we are. So when you say, do we have autonomous right now, we have airplanes, vehicles, we have all of it already.
Wow.
We're fully capable right now to go almost autonomous in
That's
warfare.
crazy.